Starseed of Gaia, you are receiving this because your system is ready. Your vessel is undergoing a precise cellular recalibration in this moment, not by force, but by alignment. I am Anya, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. What follows is a direct transmission from the Arcturian Council, delivered without distortion. Before we go deeper, let me say this clearly. What you've been feeling is not a failure of your mind or body. What you are experiencing is not personal chaos. It is structural change. Starseed, do not let your awareness drift. I need your field fully present right now because what you called rejection was not a punishment from Source. It was an Arcturian extraction maneuver, a sudden energetic tackle, not because you were weak, but because you were visible to something precise, patient, and predatory. You thought a door closed. You thought you were being ignored. But the Council saw a frequency sniper lining up a shot on your crown, and you were standing in the exact corridor where souls get harvested through confusion. So they moved you, hard, fast, without explanation. And yes, it bruised your heart, but it saved your timeline. Visualize a sealed file folder in your inner sight. Not paper, not ink. A crystalline archive that exists in the non-local field. It has been kept inside a containment lattice, a protection protocol used when the enemy can read emotional leakage. The truth could not be disclosed while your nervous system was still unarmored, because certain intel, when received too early, becomes a beacon. But the threat level has shifted. Your clearance has been upgraded. The seal is loosening now, because you are stable enough to hold what you're about to remember. And listen closely. There are 3 massive truths the Arcturians have been hiding from you to keep you alive. The third truth is the key that unlocks your next season. If you leave early, you miss the mechanism that turns pain into propulsion. By the end of this transmission, you won't just understand your past. You will be given a literal energetic key to unlock your future. Now, open the first compartment of the file. There is an architecture to suffering, Starseed. It is not random. It is not chaos. It is not bad luck. When an Arcturian protected soul is approaching an activation threshold, the field tightens. The simulation responds. People change. Opportunities flicker. Doors that felt guaranteed suddenly evaporate. And the human mind interprets it as rejection, but the Arcturians interpret it as interception. As the Arcturians transmit, a sniper does not waste ammunition on an empty target. Energetic snipers track visibility. They wait until you are about to become seen. Not seen on social media, seen in frequency, seen in authority, seen in coherence. Then they aim at the softest entry point. Your heart, your trust, your identity, your sense of being guided. Their goal is not to destroy you physically. Their goal is to fracture your signal so you abandon your own mission. That is why you were tackled. You remember the moment. It may have looked like the relationship ending abruptly, with no closure. The job offer rescinded at the last second. The friend who ghosted you, as if a switch flipped. You replayed it and asked, "What did I do?" But the question was never, "What did you do?" The real question was, "What did you carry that required protection?" The sniper shield is the Council's first mechanism. It is a sudden, forceful concealment protocol. When the sniper's red dot appears in the subtle field, the Council doesn't always whisper, "Move." Sometimes they push you down. The fall hurts, yes, embarrassment, confusion, grief. But the shot misses. And here is the first specific thing they hid from you. They hid the true energetic nature of the people around you. Some were not enemies in the dramatic sense. They were not villains. They were simply unconscious conduits. They carried entanglements. They leaked your information. They mirrored your frequency back into spaces it did not belong. They were friendly faces with open ports. And if you had stayed bonded to them, emotionally, contractually, spiritually, you would have been legally and energetically tethered to a collapsing structure. Now let's make this practical. Have you ever been about to send a message late at night? The begging message, the please explain, the come back, the what did I do wrong? You felt your thumb hovering over the send button. Then something happened. A heaviness, a sudden drain, a strange fatigue, like your muscles were being gently restrained. You deleted the message. You called it indecision. But that was the shield. That was the Arcturian frequency placing a hand over your impulse because a single message can reopen a portal. This is how the council works with your nervous system. They do not always speak in sentences. They speak in signals: heaviness, closing, relief, sudden clarity, a no in the body that is stronger than logic. Your body is not your enemy. Your body is a receiver. When it suddenly refuses to proceed, it's often because your field is being pulled out of a kill zone. And yes, the bunker phase feels dark. It feels lonely. It feels like exile. But the bunker is not a punishment. It is a safe house. It is containment while the air raid passes. But here's what most starseeds don't realize. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is not outside the bunker. Sometimes the most volatile threat is inside it, wearing your own face. Now we enter the second compartment of the file. Starseed, you have asked for your destiny. You have asked for the big picture. You have asked to be shown what you're here to do. You have asked for your mission briefing so you could move faster, and the council kept saying, "Not yet." Not because they enjoy withholding, not because you are unworthy, but because ignorance was your camouflage. As the Arcturians transmit, some souls must be hidden from the predator, others must be hidden from their own premature self-image. This is the Trojan horse logic. The second thing they hid from you was the magnitude of your own calling. It sounds like a compliment, but it's actually a warning. Because if your nervous system is not stabilized and your identity is not purified, the first thing that will attach to a large calling is not glory. It is inflation. And inflation becomes the Trojan horse that sneaks the enemy inside your own mission. Let's go into the raw place. The unfiltered place. You watched people succeed while you were stuck in the bunker. People who seemed less aware, less capable, less disciplined. And you felt something sting. Not always jealousy in the obvious way. Sometimes it was resentment disguised as discernment. They don't deserve it. I could do better. Why am I not seen? That thought is not proof that you're evil. It's proof that you're human, and that your vessel was still being refined. Because if you had been amplified while that frequency was still alive, you would have used your mission to build a monument to the self, not on purpose, unconsciously. And that monument becomes heavy. It collapses. Many starseeds collapse not because they were attacked, but because their own identity structure couldn't hold the voltage of being seen. So the council did something that feels brutal, but is actually merciful. They kept you small in your own eyes. They let you be overlooked, misunderstood, undervalued. Not forever, but long enough for your relationship with visibility to be healed. Long enough for you to learn. If I'm unseen, I still exist. If I'm not applauded, I still have worth. If I'm not validated, I still have guidance. This is character engineering. This is energetic metallurgy. The council takes the raw ore of your gifts and applies pressure, heat, and time until your signal becomes stable. And this is why some of your rejection felt personal. It wasn't about the people. It was about your attachment to how you imagined your story would unfold. The council wasn't breaking you. They were breaking the brittle shell around you that could not survive your future. But once you're hidden from the outside enemy, and hidden from your own inflation, a terrifying question appears. How do you hear guidance when everything feels silent? That's where the third compartment opens, the frequency gap. Starseed, this is the part where your entire narrative changes. The problem was never that the Arcturians stopped transmitting. The problem was that your receiver was locked into survival bandwidth. As the Arcturians transmit, A message can be loud and still be inaudible when the receiver is tuned elsewhere. Your nervous system is not just biology, it is a frequency instrument. When you are stressed, anxious, hypervigilant, grieving, or in what now mode, your field becomes compressed. Your mind becomes noisy. Your attention fragments. You scan for danger. You replay the past. You catastrophize. This is not weakness. It's a survival program. But survival bandwidth cannot hear subtle guidance. In the language of brain states, survival often correlates to fast, tense mental activity, the storm state. In the language of the Arcturians, that storm is the static layer that blocks coherent reception. Guidance is often received when the internal ocean becomes still enough to reflect the sky. You thought you were abandoned, but you were under a signal protection measure. When a starseed is in a high-threat season, the Council sometimes reduces external confirmation to prevent you from becoming trackable. Because when you receive a loud sign and you tell the wrong person, the wrong entity reads your excitement and follows the trail. So the Council pulls you inward. They train you to hear from within. That's why the last 3 years felt like an off-grid season. Now here is the key. You do not need 20 years in a cave to retune. You need a consistent protocol that tells your nervous system, we are safe enough to receive. The Council uses what we could call an entrainment principle. Rhythm, breath, sound, and focused attention can bring the field into coherence faster than willpower alone. Because willpower is still a strain, and strain keeps you in static. So here is the Arcturian retuning sequence. Simple but exact. 7 minutes of stillness daily, same time, same place. Headphones or a stable sound environment, not for magic, but to reduce external noise. A single intention. I am available for coherent guidance. 1 embodied anchor. Slow breath, plus relaxed jaw, plus softened belly. After the session, write down the first clear instruction you receive, even if it seems small. This is not superstition. This is receiver calibration. And here is the hard truth. The instruction you receive will often be ridiculously simple. Text this person. Don't text that person. Apply for that one thing. Clean your room, drink water, create the first draft. Stop stalking their social media. Simple instructions, big outcomes. Because guidance is not dramatic. It is precise. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. And now I need to address the shadow that appears the moment you retune, the fear of power. Because the instant you begin receiving clearly again, a part of you will want to shut it down. Not because you're broken, but because visibility is coming back online. Now we open the next portion of the file. Starseed, when the static clears, you will feel something that confuses you. You will feel afraid, not of failure, of success, not of being unseen, of being seen. This is the fear of power. As the Arcturians transmit, the human self fears expansion because expansion dissolves the old identity's control. You have been praying for movement, for doors, for elevation. But a part of you learned safety in invisibility. In the bunker, you had no expectations, no public pressure, no responsibility to sustain a higher version of yourself. In the dark, you could grieve without witnesses. In the dark, you could delay. But the activated timeline requires presence. So when the light returns, your body may interpret it as danger. You may feel a knot in your stomach that says, go back. You may suddenly desire distractions. You may feel tired exactly when you decide to commit. That's not laziness. That's a nervous system that equates expansion with risk. Here's the reframe. Fear does not mean you are unready. Often it means you are approaching something real. If you were inflated, you would not be scared. Inflated people rush into exposure for validation. Stabilized people tremble because they respect the voltage. That trembling is reverence, not cowardice. This is why the Council has been strengthening your containment capacity. They have been teaching you to hold more energy without collapsing, to hold praise without becoming addicted, to hold criticism without becoming shattered, to hold silence without becoming paranoid. These are the muscles of a leader's soul. Now, a practical decoding. If fear comes with clarity, it's usually initiation fear. If fear comes with confusion and spiraling, it's usually threat static. If fear comes with an urge to sabotage, it's usually identity resistance. The antidote is not be fearless. The antidote is stay present while the energy expands. Breathe through the tremble. Do not negotiate with the old identity. Do not romanticize the bunker. Thank it for keeping you alive, and step forward anyway. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Cliffhanger. Because the moment you step out of witness protection, the counterforce doesn't disappear. It escalates. And you need to recognize the 3 traps that show up right after activation. Starseed. This section is not to scare you. It is to arm you. As the Arcturians transmit, an awakened receiver becomes a strategic asset. The counterforce does not attack what is dormant. So when your frequency stabilizes, 3 predictable interference patterns appear. Think of them as software attempts to crash your system. Trap 1. Distraction. The counterforce can't stop you with a wall anymore, so it uses a maze. You sit down to do your work, and suddenly you need to check your phone. You scroll without deciding. You open tabs without purpose. People show up with emergencies. Messages arrive that feel urgent but are meaningless. This is a frequency jammer trying to pull you back into static. Your response is not anger. Your response is structure. One simple rule. Guidance first, noise second. 7 minutes of calibration before you touch the world. Trap 2. Pride, inflation. If distraction fails, the counterforce will attempt to inflate you. You get a small win, and a voice whispers, "Look what you did. You're better. You're special." The poison is subtle because it feels like confidence, but real confidence is quiet. Inflation is loud. Inflation creates separation. Inflation turns your mission into performance. Your response: remember the source of your signal. You didn't crack the seal, the Council did. You didn't invent the transmission, you received it. Stay grateful. Stay grounded. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. Trap 3. The past, old files. The counterforce replays your failures like a highlight reel. It brings up shame, regret, old versions of you that no longer match your current frequency. This is an attempt to collapse your identity back into the bunker. Your response: treat old memories like outdated software logs. That was data from a previous build. You do not argue with it. You do not feed it. You return to the body, return to breath, return to the present instruction. And here's the hidden weapon. The counterforce can only devour what matches its frequency. When you remain coherent, calm, clear, embodied, you become energetically inedible. You don't have to fight everything. You just have to refuse to tune to the channel of panic. Now you're going to ask, okay, what does this look like in real life? Let me show you the proof pattern, a full story of a starseed who used this protocol and watched the timeline flip. Starseed, the mind hates this part. The delay, because you begin the protocol, and for a while, nothing seems to change. That is the moment most people quit. Not because it doesn't work, but because it works invisibly first. As the Arcturians transmit, coherence forms beneath perception. Then reality catches up. Let me tell you a complete story, because stories bypass resistance. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah was not lazy. She was exhausted. She had debt, emotional grief, and a nervous system that had been stuck in survival for years. She felt spiritually deaf, not because she lacked a connection, but because her inner world was a storm. Every day she promised she would start again. Every day she defaulted to coping mechanisms, scrolling, worrying, replaying conversations, trying to control outcomes. One morning, she made a small vow. Not a dramatic vow, a small vow. 7 minutes. At 6 a.m., while her house was still quiet, she sat at the kitchen table. Headphones on, eyes closed, breath slow, jaw relaxed. She didn't force visions. She didn't chase signs. She just practiced coherence. After the session, she wrote one line, "I am available." Day 1 felt weird. Day 2 felt pointless. Day 7 felt like nothing. Day 14 felt discouraging. Her mind said, "See, you're the exception. This works for other people." But she kept going, not because she felt inspired, because she honored the vow. Then day 22 happened. She was washing dishes. The water was running. Her mind was quiet in a way it hadn't been in years. And suddenly a clear instruction arrived, not in a booming voice, but as a simple certainty. Offer your skill to this specific niche. Start with one small package, price it simply. She almost dismissed it because it was too ordinary. But because her field was coherent, she recognized it as guidance, not fantasy. She acted, she posted, she reached out, she created a basic offer. Within weeks, small wins arrived. Not miracles raining from the sky, aligned responses, opportunities that matched her signal, then momentum, then stability. 6 months later, the debt was gone. Was she saved by a technique? No, she was freed by coherence. Coherence allowed her to hear. Hearing allowed her to move. Moving allowed reality to reorganize around the new frequency. Now here is why the nothing happens phase exists. The system is reordering. Old entanglements are dissolving. Your nervous system is learning safety without control. And the counterforce is watching, waiting for you to quit. When you don't quit, the timeline flips. This is not for everyone. The ebook. The 12 Arcturian Portals is a restricted trilogy created for those who are ready to activate their 5D connection with the Arcturian masters, not in theory, but in real energetic experience. Inside, you'll access 12 powerful portals, with precise activation protocols, rituals, and practical techniques designed to awaken your stellar DNA and unlock what has been dormant within you. Amplified intuition, direct communication with spiritual guides, energetic expansion beyond the 3D matrix. Warning: once activated, your perception will not return to the previous state. Limited edition. Access can close at any moment. The link to claim your trilogy is in the first pinned comment. If this message reached you, it's not random. Cliffhanger. And now, we seal it. Because guidance is not enough, you must lock the new frequency into your field so it cannot be stolen in the next 7 days. Starseed of Gaia. Stand up in your inner world. You do not need to move your physical body. If you are driving, keep your eyes on the road. If you are lying down, remain still. But in your subtle field, rise to attention. Shoulders back, chin up, spine aligned, not in arrogance, in readiness. Place your subtle hand over your heart center. This is not a prayer in a religious sense. This is a commissioning in a cosmic sense. A formal agreement between your free will and your higher assignment. As the Arcturians transmit, a mission does not activate when you understand it. A mission activates when you consent. Repeat inwardly, slowly. I consent to coherence. I consent to guidance. I consent to being seen without losing myself. I consent to my next season. Now listen. The rejection that broke your heart was not a denial. It was an extraction. The door that closed was not a punishment. It was an interception. The silence was not absence. It was stealth mode. You were placed in witness protection, not because you were weak, but because you were valuable. And now the key is given. Here is the literal key. Your next season unlocks when you stop chasing certainty and start obeying the first clear instruction, not the 10th instruction, not the whole map, the first. Because the map unfolds as you move. The Council rarely gives the full blueprint to a nervous system that still seeks control. They give a step, then another step. Then the corridor lights up. So in the next 7 days, the activation protocol is simple. 7 minutes of coherence daily. 1 written instruction after each session. 1 small action taken within 24 hours. No returning to the bunker to ask for closure from people who were removed for your protection. Now I will speak the sealing transmission. May your field remain coherent under pressure. May your nervous system learn safety without shrinking. May distraction lose its grip. May inflation dissolve before it forms. May old files close without reopening portals. May the next instruction arrive with clarity, and may you trust it. And now, Starseed, in the quiet of your heart, say yes. Say, I accept the mission. Say, I am ready to be seen. Feel the agreement settle like a calm weight in the chest, not heavy, but certain. If this message reached you, it's not random. If this message ignited something within you and you feel the call to help carry it to others, you may become a channel member. As a member, you gain access to custom emojis and exclusive members-only videos, and your donation helps us continue building this sacred space. You may also choose to leave your offering as a super thanks. Every seed planted here becomes part of someone else's miracle. Your support is not merely financial, but an act of energetic amplification. All donations are devoted entirely to the maintenance of the channel and the creation of new transmissions and videos. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light. I invite you to discover our Arcturian Health channel. The link to the channel is in the video description. Warm regards, the Arcturian Council.